Sorry for being so late with the entrepreneurs today. We've got some sick kids here at home, and I had to do solo parenting and stuff like that. Let's get right into the news so we can knock this out. I got about 4 or 5 articles that I wanna blaze through real quick here. So we got Evergrande contagion may be nearing its peak. The boss of Evergrande, I'm not going to try to butcher his name, has just had yet another of his bubbles burst. Last year, he suggested in a letter that his property developing empire was too big to fail. That's some big words there. On Friday, though, the country's central bank decided the beleaguered company is a bad apple and in an otherwise quote unquote healthy industry. That's too generous. But the regulator is right that the chance of a domestic systematic financial crisis is falling. The message read more. A senior official at People's Bank of China is clear for investors. The government is keeping its hands off, despite urging faster asset disposal of to deliver unfinished apartments. He defined Evergrande's mistakes as purely operational and dismissed Hughes creditors as relatively dispersed. That probably came as the result of stress tests that the central bank had been quietly conducting with the banks on and the other financial institutions. Evergrande will, though, cause more pain. Hugh is already struggling to offload office buildings and other assets without a big haircut, and defaults have started to snowball across the country. On Friday, China Properties joined a dozen others that have defaulted on over 47 billion or 7.3 billion dollars of bonds this year, per an estimate. Per an estimate from the CRIC, a Chinese property consultancy. S&P Global last week downgraded two of the bigger players, Greenland and eHouse Enterprise. But for more, man, there's like so many words in here. Sanguine players like Long4, which remains clear of the debt red lines, but those stock but whose stock has fallen 24% this year. The risk of becoming collateral damage is much lower. All overly tightened credit policies will probably be corrected on the margin too. And so it goes in smaller, more vulnerable developers remain the weak link. So they're looks like they're pinning the blame on some smaller weaker developers than Evergrande, thinking that Evergrande's going to come out of this just fine. Not 100% certain that that's going to happen. I'm hopeful, fingers crossed. It's that's the hope for all of our sakes, but we'll have to continue to wait and see. Though, to go along with that, I got this article here. It says China can contain risks. Yields may fall. Evergrande update. Risks posed to the Chinese economy by China Evergrande Group's debt crisis can be contained, according to the central bank, which has stepped up its commentary amid further evidence of economic headwinds. Property firms' trouble casts a little bit of concern. People's Bank of China Governor Yi Gang, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right either, said at a virtual meeting of the group of 30 on Sunday. Overall, we can contain the Evergrande risk. His comments came after the central bank last week broke its silence on the crisis, saying risks were controllable and unlikely to spread. Part of this could just be damage control. I'm very much concerned that the thought process is, look, we're just going to do what we can to create damage control, and hopefully the chips will fall on the right side of helpful for everybody. involved. Though I'm concerned that that's probably not necessarily going to be the case. Um, but time will continue to tell, and of course, we will continue to monitor the situation here with the Evergrande crisis, or potential crisis, if you will. Until then, don't panic. Hollywood production workers avoid nationwide strike with tentative deal. The IATSE had called for higher pay, larger contributions to health and pensions, meal breaks. Meal breaks? Wow. Wow. And improved rest periods. Yes, we were following the story, I think it was last week, where we talked about the industry having a huge problem trying to keep up with the demand for super high quality content for streaming, and there not being enough people in the industry to create said content at that high level that was being demanded, which creates a bit of a problem for, well, everybody involved who wants to, like, see their family, or like get sleep, or eat, or not work 12 to 15 hour days, 15 to 19 hour days, 21 days in a row. Not very reasonable. So this goes on to say Hollywood production workers across the country will not pick up the picket signs and strike after all, avoiding what could have been the industry's biggest walkout since World War II. It includes everyone from camera technicians, makeup artists, costume designers, and more behind-the-scenes workers came to a tentative deal with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, or AMPTP. They like their acronyms. Which represents major film and television production companies. Complete details of the agreement have not been released, but a statement posted said several important goals were achieved. Those included improved working conditions, higher wages, daily rest periods of 10 hours without exclusions, retroactive pay increases of 3% annually, expanded benefits, and diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. This is a Hollywood ending. Our members stood firm. We are tough and united, said Matthew Loeb, who's the president of the IATSE. The tentative agreement must be ratified by its members, calling for higher pay. It's just the same thing over and over again. The union's contract with the AMPTP went into effect in 2018 and is set to expire on July 31st. So that's awesome. Hopefully this actually happens, and then they don't have to go through a potential complete shutdown of Hollywood's. Everyone loves their streaming shows, and in order to keep that going, you gotta pay people. You have to be willing to concede that you either need more people, or you need to give people breaks and rest, so you can get more productivity and more quality out of said people. Higher home heating costs could burn a hole in your wallet this winter. I thought this would be important to talk about because as entrepreneurs, we are always looking for solution, creating solutions for people, and maybe this would inspire somebody to think about maybe a different way, or something that we could do to help better our communities in the process. The illness-battered families face skyrocketing heating costs this winter, with year-on-year prices set to rise by as much as 54% for some households, according to the annual winter fuel outlook released this week from the Energy Information Administration. We expect households across the United States will spend more on energy this winter compared with the past several winters because of the higher energy prices, and because we assume a slightly colder winter than last year in the United States. Prices are forecast to rise more than 40% for households who use heating oil, affecting the Northeast in particular, where I live and have lived forever, and will increase 30% for natural gas and 54% for propane. Those who heat with electricity could see 6% increases. Well, at least there's something somewhat positive to come out of that. A 47-year-old personal trainer, Shannon Phillips Hunt, in Bloomsbury, New Jersey, is fearful of her family's already strained budget will get further stretched by increasing heating costs. She and her husband already work two jobs each, but still feel like they are living paycheck to paycheck. Last winter, her bill increased by 1/3, she told NBC News. We never changed our behaviors. We were doing the same things and we kept doing it. And it is unbelievable how much more money we spent. It was scary. Are we going to be able to pay this and afford this? How high is this going to go? This year, they replaced a drafty window with an energy saving efficient one and said they only turn on the heat in the rooms where their dogs sleep. And the dogs are already in sweaters to avoid shivering. Wow, they must be really keeping it cold there. As far as the middle class, we are all being pinched. In an August news conference to address the rising energy prices, President Joe Biden called on the oil and gas industry to increase production to meet the demand. The production cuts made during the pandemic should be reversed as the global economy recovers in order to lower prices for consumers. The worldwide energy crunch is also pressuring prices in an increasingly interconnected global system. In Europe, natural gas prices are up over 350% following a summer of high demand and low supply. That's pulling some natural gas from U.S. producers onto ships for overseas markets. Crude oil has climbed over 60% this year, pushing up closely. I think the key thing here is to keep in mind that we are feeling the pinch and things are going up. Inflation is everywhere. It's rampant in some industries more than others. But when you look at like Europe, they're up over 350% increase for their prices versus we're going to get squeezed 30%. So not that 30% is great for anybody involved, but it's what it is it is it's better it's better than what's going on in Europe. So there might be some opportunities here to figure for an entrepreneur to figure out like how can we help our communities get the heat, get the clothes, get something that they need, and in a way that helps more than just like as if if it's a food bank side, or maybe getting involved with a food bank side or a clothing side, something to help, or maybe it's getting people the windows that they need so that they don't have to increase their costs, but getting it on financing for 2 years or something like that and spreading the cost over 2 years. There's a bit that to me that's the big opportunity there. It's like if we can get things on opportunity on credit, like 2 years no interest or something to that effect. If you're in a position to be able to float that, this might be the time to do it, to be able to have people sign up and put down money and maybe make small payments on something that makes that much of a difference, right? Maybe it's insulation. Maybe it's that, hey, get your insulation fixed now. And we'll talk about, we'll worry about the price, the price and everything, in 6 months, a year, to 2 years, and get small payments in the process. So, think about that. And on the same topic of power, we talk about the power squeeze curbs Chinese growth, leaves Europe in a gas bind. So energy is getting kind of scarce in some ways, depending on what kind of energy we're talking about. China steps to boost coal output, seen taking time. Russia says it's ready to ease European gas squeeze. Europeans say Moscow using leverage over Nord Stream 2, and the Czechs regulator seeks reassurances over power supplies. This is like some global things going on here. But I think the thing I wanted to bring up away from this story is that China has their own power issues that they're dealing with. Power shortages hit growth in the world's second biggest economy, threatening more pain for global supply chains, while Europe's gas squeeze looked to set continue as Russia's Gazprom showed no sign of hiking exports to the region. So yeah, so the things are absolutely pinching everywhere in the world, and we're all just trying to make sure that we're catching up with how things are going to be done going forward. We've talked about before here on the EntrepreNEWS how the supply shortages of like literally almost anything is hitting, and it's going to hit even worse as we get closer into the holiday season, and why people should be buying up their Christmas gifts now or thinking about other ways of doing their gift giving. I know we're talking, about paying, for the kids more experience things, for like the grandparents and things to buy into rather than just buying toys. They have plenty of toys. They don't need more toys. What they need is more experiences. They need the soccer lessons, the dance lessons, the maybe piano lessons, maybe acting lessons for my daughter because she's a big ham, things like that. So I know, this is just part of the it's just part of the big crunch that we're all in, thanks to how things have been handled through the illness. So we're just trying to get through, just as much as every other country is trying to get through. And I think that was the key focus I wanted to pull up here with this headline. Anyway, I hope you've had an amazing weekend. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope to be right back for 10 a.m. Depends if I'm back to solo parenting tomorrow with a sick kid. She's feeling better, but we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. So I appreciate you and your patience. I appreciate you watching. And this seems like the EntrepreNEWS is actually picking up the amount of views. So this is awesome to see. Anyway, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in one of these next